And I realized I was just muted. Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode, right, of where we dive into the markets, right, on Trade Talk. And I know there's no sound, but can you hear me now? Just put the thumbs up in the comment section if you can hear sound. Okay, I'm just waiting for if there's sound. So this comment there, the community. Okay, great stuff, great stuff. So welcome again to Trade Talks. We are shifting, right? We are shifting into a new um, view, right, of how we're gonna do our education, right? And if you have noticed, right, regarding the emails, we are launching or we have launched School, right? And that's another platform of where we're gonna go live, etc., etc. So with that being said, this will be my second last live stream on the Connect Trade and Grow via Facebook, right? And so if you want to catch the technical Tuesdays, I won't say technical, I won't say technical Tuesdays, but trade talks, catch it within the school community, right? And if you don't know, there will be a poster that will go out um, either this week or next week to join um, trade talks, right? And that is where you will find me going live as well. I also see the school community also they're also commenting as well on this live stream. So yes, I hope you're enjoying it so far. Um, and yeah, for those of you who are new, especially got to do with the school community, right? My name is Coach Clayton, and so I'm one of the coaches within the Kingdom Day Traders company, right? And this segment, it is where we dive into the markets and the high level coaching students. They send in their instruments or the symbols within this week, right? And so the frequent symbols that came through, and that's besides the Dixie, because the Dixie is the denominator for all weeks, right? We are focusing on Euro USD, the S&P 500, and also gold, right? So this is gonna be a very interesting week, right? So I'm gonna dive in. There's also something very interesting that's gonna happen tomorrow. Um, it's gonna be very crazy. But that's not that. Yeah, that's gonna do with fundamentals, but that will shift the market. Um, on a large scale, right? So that is actually a major fundamentals that will come out. But nevertheless, we will get there when we get there, right? And so what we have here in front of us, um, on the chart, right? We have the Dixie, and the high level coaching students will, they saw this market recap, almost a market recap, but this market outlook um, that we posted Sunday, right? So I have indicated and I have highlighted these particular two supply zones, right? And I say that from these two supply zones, I am looking forward to this particular downtrend, right? That is forming, and I have said that. Let me just have my drawings over there, right? So I have said that price action, it had one touch, right? But I was looking at this particular area where the circle is at, right? That is most likely where price action will either break or go long, or price action will be secured at the supply zone, right? And it will go, yeah, go short, right? Or it will go long. However, um, price action as I just gonna do the play, right? And this is on a 2 hour chart, and they will have it, right. So price action was playing within that area. Now what I will do is just move that and just zoom in a little bit more, right? The way price action is, and they will have it, right. So price action was actually, remember this is not 2 hour, we can go on a 1 hour as well. So price action, came back, and it actually, you know tested this downtrend again, right. So that's very important to take note of. So if we can just move the circle over here, so that is where we want to be, right. That is what we want to see. Like I said, you can either go long or go short, as we analyzed on Sunday. And let me just play it through, right. And so actually price action did go long. Now I did say the price action will, kind of test the supply zone once more, right? And price action will drop a little bit, have a retracement, right? And if you see how price action was moving today, that was actually happening, right? So it's actually eavesdropping the way current price is. So the market is actually looking at this particular um, um, price action pattern, right? But if you want to just delete some drawings over there, right, and some lines just to give a nice perspective of what is happening, um, that is how market is looking, right? So I'm gonna move this also out to my right hand side, and I wanna notice what will price action do. Now, I also noticed that is also forming another trend, right? And this is over here, right? And I was gonna take myself off so long, right? So that is what's happening. And with that being said, we can also delete this and delete this as well, right? And if you want to be more precise, you can do so, right? So that is our demand zone that was being tested and um, being respected as well. Now, I'm also delete this as well so they can give a nice perspective, right? So what you notice is that price action is actually testing this uptrend as well, right? But also notice that price action, like I said, if we bring this down again, it can break to the upside and drop, right? But now we want to see where is our next opposing demand zone. And here we have it, right? So we have a rally, we have a base, and then we have a rally again, right? Now, what we want to do is we want to draw out our demand zone over there just to give more perspective, right? And if you are watching as well, you can also draw out your demand zone over there. But before we go there, right, I want to go to the daily time frame and just highlight what is happening within the daily time frame. Now, it's very important to see how today closes, right? Because that will give a more perspective of how the market wants to go, right? You can either carry on to make carry on to make to go long, to make higher highs, right? Or price action can drop as well. Now Before I go further as well with that, I'm going to draw your attention to Forex Factory, right? And we are currently on Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, but tomorrow is the big day, right? So tomorrow at 8 p.m., right? That is African Standard Time. You need to see more or less what time factor will that play within your time zone. But you have the federal funds rate, right? So this one is very important, right? This states the interest rate that will come in, and that is got to do with your. Let me just open that file again to see that is got to do with your institutions, right? That will play a huge shift within the market. Now, when that news comes out, and that will be tomorrow, we need to see on the Dixie more or less what will price action do, right? Now, like I said, price action can either drop a significantly, right? Or it can carry on going long, right? That's just the two options that the price action can do. Now, with that being said, when we go to a 4 hour time frame, right? Um, this little bit of a pullback is not so strong, right? We notice that, and then we go to a 2 hour time frame. It can play differently, right? So number one, it can more or less try to test this demand zone with this particular uptrend, right? We all see that, as well as price action dropping, break that initial demand zone, right? And drop and reach our next opposing demand zone, right? But this is where it become more interesting. If this happens, this actual price action pattern, right? If this actually happens, and this is more or less happening within your London session and in New York session, right? And price action lands over here, right, at this particular demand zone, right? And price action drops and it plays within this demand zone. And that news comes out, this is most likely that price action will drop, right, and reach our next opposing demand zone. And you can, yes, it is right. Your core formation is you have a rally, you have a base, and then we have a rally, right? But also in that rally, base rally, you have another one, which is a rally. You have a base, and then you have your full rally, right? So you can draw out your next opposing demand zone at this particular area, right? So that is just the way how you look at it, right? But also, if price action don't show, and, and you must listen to my words, right? If price action don't show this um, price action pattern between your London and the New York session, right? Then you leave it out because price action will look like this, right? It will either go to this demand zone, have a retracement to the supply zone, and it may, sit in this particular area as well, right? Um, it can either again touch this demand zone and shoot up, right? Or price action can drop to this demand zone, right? And then price action will drop and have a retracement and price action will go long, right? So your key points, your key points will be how price action moves, right, within your London and your New York session, right? So if you get in value within the segment, just put the 8 in the chat. Let's put the 8 in the chat. I also saw um Sylvester sharing that it's good information concerning price action. Yes, exactly. Um and normally, when you come in new within the trading sector, price action may not make sense, right? But this becomes more and more revealing once you start to take time within the market, right? I'm seeing more comments from the school community, which is great. You need to, this is actually gaining your ranks, right? And we will talk about the price next, but that I leave the coach Cindy or coach Chadwin as well. Yes, I also see a comment that is great. Excellent. What? Sorry, exactly what I need. Exactly. Yes. Okay. I see these comments coming through as well. Thank you for that. So that's just the Dixie, right? That's just the Dixie. I actually explained a lot that's going on here. And then if we go to the Euro USD, right, it is exactly when according to plan. If price action sits within this particular let me just see there. In this particular demand zone, let me just delete that, right? So I have said, and I said it to the high level coaching students, that if price action drops and it plays in this area, right, in this demand zone, we are looking for price action to go short, right? um, and we have seen that happening, right? So price action played in this demand zone for a few hours, and then we saw price action broke through to the downside, right? But also, if you want to see more or less where price action was respected, it was actually this demand zone, right? That demand zone is where price action respected, and then we saw a drop and we saw a base and then we saw a rally, right? However, for this I will go for a lower time frame as well. I don't like the strength, especially for how price action retraced, right, from that demand zone, right? I don't like it because if you do other enhances and you do strength, it's shown a little bit of weakness, but we still respect price action going long, right? From this particular demand zone. And so once we have that, and once you see that, and once you understand why price action, shifted and go long, I do want to say this: if price action is staying too long in this particular area, right, and that would be at uh, um, price action at 1.08657, right? The price action stay long in that particular area, and what I mean by that is price action going or moving like this, right? And it's playing. in that area, then most likely the price action will, go long, right? Unless there's other news that will make price action go short, right? But this is all got to do with news as well, and how price action moves between London session and New York session, right? It will give a playbook, if I can put in that context, of how price action might move as well. The reason why I'm saying that price action will start to consolidate is because the institutions and traders and all the playmakers within the market, they will try and you know wait until the big news comes, right? And that is the let me just get my wording right, the federal funds, right? There we go, right? So they will get that in place. So I have seen in the past that price action will try to consolidate, and we want to know like what is going on, right? But they are just waiting for that news to come out, right? And that to actually shift the market accordingly. So once we have that, and just remember, it can also go down. But like I said, it this price action movement is all depending on how the market moves again within your London and your New York session, right? So with that being said, we can go to the S&P 500, right? And the S&P 500, I will go on a high time frame for that. And this is what I had, right? Before I dive into that, I just want to show you how we got into this particular uptrend, right? So, so that is in place, right? So we had a few touches, right? Um, we had a few touches. So, like I said, to the master, I won't say master, but high level student coaching, right? Yes, this is the 4 hour time frame. So as we see, this is an uptrend, and if we want to, right, just for more perspective, we can also put it there as well, right? And if you want to, you can also put it there as well, right? So we are seeing touches regarding this point and that point and that point, right? So once we see that within the market and we go the way price action is, right? So I needed to explain the genesis before I come to where the chart is. So what we also teach is our enhances, right? And the high level coaching, they will identify, what is happening there, and they will have, you know, a formula, a ratio, or to say if this supply zone is weak or not. Um, yeah, so I won't say if it's weak or not. It's for the high level coaching to decide that, right? And so once we have that in place, um, we have analyzed on Sunday as well that price action can either drop to reach this demand zone that will coincide with the uptrend at this area, right? At this area. So yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but that's like I saw that within the market. And I also saw that the price action do breaks down to this demand zone and break down. It will, either determinate this whole uptrend, right? As you saw on the height, as you saw earlier on, sorry, right? Or it can respect either this demand zone or this demand zone, and price action can go long. There we go. And price action will go long, right? So that is what I was seeing. However, the price action had other um, intentions, right? And what I want to do is this: I want to throw out what price action is more or less trying to do, right? So what I'll do is I'll move this to my right hand side, these price action patterns, and we can draw out that particular trend line as well. What I will do is go on a lower time frame just to see our price action wants to move, right? So there we have it. So now, once we have this in place, what you are seeing now is something like this, right? We are seeing a resistance, right? That line is our resistance, or in other words, our supply zone. That is the red box, right? And now we're also seeing our price action is forming a trend, right? A trend line as well. So this area is our where this yellow line is, right? So what price action may do is we are seeing that price action is like playing and testing that supply zone. So what can happen is price action can break to the upside, or you can break to the downside, right? So what I mean by this, we are seeing that price action is touching that support, right? And touching that trend line as well. So what price action can do is drop again, right? Have a retracement and go long, or price action can go short as well, and then you see price action break, right, and go to this demand zone. So we all see that. Just give me a 10 in the chat. Yes, for that question, that is for our high level coaching team, our coaching students. Actually, that will, Coach Edwin actually he goes in depth regarding time frames. That's time frames is a course on its own, right? Um, yeah, so that's for our high level coaching. But don't worry, I know you are in your interim, and we will once we have the call, we will explain everything regarding that, right? So I see some things in the chat. Yeah, so that's on a good track. To see that everyone is on one accord, right? And we understand, right, how price action can move. So going forward, is price action if it do place, right? If it do comes down and it start to play and it play within the supply zone, price action can go long. But remember, the S&P 500 will also coincide to what the federal funds rate is saying as well, right? It's very important to understand how price action moves, And like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm highlighting how price action can move, right? Or price action can drop, right, and play and then drop as well, and reach our next opposing demand zone. But that is all. Okay, there we go. So that can happen, right, within the market. Yeah, I know that I went the lengthy route, but that is how price action can falter, right, within a day or two. And so, lastly, for those who are on the call, this is gold, right? And I always wondered, you know, let me just move that. And the high level coaching, they actually were the first. I actually put that in, right. And for me, I initially, you know, this was a reason why I said it will play in this demand zone. And it actually did it, right? I'm not a guru. I'm not the guru into saying like how price action will move. But the reason why I got that confirmation is regarding the 4 hour, right? And a bit of the daily time frame as well. Can you see that, team? We have days. We actually, yeah, days, yeah, right. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 days, so that's a week. Say, yeah, we say a weekend and a day, right? Because the market closes on a Friday, right? But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 days in which there was a pullback. Now I always tell the students, right? What is shown on a lower time frame, you can also use that on a higher time frame, right? And that is actually what is happening, right, on the higher time frame. And so we are not seeing weakness in gold, right? So where people are, let me just put this in context. When the dollar is weak, right, gold tends to be strong, right? And once we see this, that we have a rally, and then we're seeing a pullback happening, right, over 6 days, that is showing that gold is still strong, right? And what we teach our students as well, the market moves in two directions, either moves up or down. In other words, an uptrend or a downtrend. An uptrend moves like this, right? It has it's making a high, is making a higher low, and it tends to make another higher high, right? That is the definition of an uptrend. But if I can just move that across, that is most likely happening, right? I'm not saying it will be, but in terms of candle structure forming there, this is actually what we can look for within the market. Like I said, just because of how price action is making this correction, right? So just be with that. Um, and price action can break to the upside and go long as well. I have also indicated that price action can also do this, right? However, I expected that breakdown more earlier, right? So I'm thinking about this. However, if we do see this, right? If we do see this, and it definitely playing within that demand zone, we can see a drop to the downside as well, right? But like I said, it all depends on how market structure is forming and candle structure forming within your New York and London session. Okay, so I have a question that with you monitoring Also, no, sometimes I read too fast. But you mentioning London and New York sessions, right? That could possibly cause major moves. Yes, that's correct. Because that is where price action most likely tends to move, right? Especially 2 hours, and I won't give the time frames, right? Because I think that was in Monday class, right? The coach Sharon spoke about that because it gave a hint regarding the high level coaching, but there is certain time frames within a New York session and a London session, right? That we look out for, and that mostly coincide with as well with fundamentals. But to dive deeper in, Coach Sharon gives a very detailed segment on that, and it's actually going to do that. I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's class, Wednesday's class. So, yes, I hope I what you call it answer the question carefully. But there is significance within that two sessions as well. So that's it for me, team, for today on Trade Talks, right? As we can hear, we're moving forward, right? Um, and I hope you can join us on the other side. Remember, this is my second last live stream within the Connect Trade and Grow on Facebook, but we will transition to school, right? And school is the best community in which we as the person is gonna thrive in, cause winning, just because of what we experience, right? So we're learning from our faults, but we're also giving you value as well. So thank you, school and the high level student, high level coaching students. It was a pleasure to be with you tonight. So thank you, team, and I hope to see you next week again. So yes, take it easy. Bye.